As usual for times when something seems amusing to my earthling sensibilities, but likely wouldn't to everyone else, I kept quiet about it. Nobody wanted their delivery person to laugh in their face about whatever they'd ordered. Even blue-furred aliens with the wood-gnawing habits of beavers, who were receiving a cubic foot of carefully packed tweezers. All I could think about was irony and splinters. I kept my expression at customer service neutral and approached the info booth, with Mer Tentacle walking beside me.
"Welcome,"
grunted the curmudgeonly fellow stationed there, eyes squinting from a face of grey and blue fur. The stripes down his back seemed more grey than black too.
"Is that for me?"
He chuckled like that was a joke. Mer leaned his squid-like head backwards, his version of craning his neck without actually having a neck.
"Only if you're working a double shift as head of the medical center,"
he said. I added, "We were hoping you could tell us how to get there." Our ship had a decent map of this loose settlement, but it was hard to tell from the air which tributaries we'd need to cross, in which order to get to it. The info booth was clearly stationed near the spaceport for a good reason, and not just for the high ground in rainy weather. It was built into a rocky cliffside that held many holes. A different species might have built their civilization right up that cliff, but these folks were strictly a ground level or lower sort. The elder perked up.
"Oh, sure, I can tell you where it is," he said, "but it might as well be for me, since my wife is the head bone setter around these parts."
He reached furry little webbed paws in a gimme gesture. I read the name on the label to him, and he confirmed it. Mer held up the payment tablet that he'd so carefully carried with his rear tentacles. He'd refused to let me carry the box and the tablet. He handled getting the fellow's name and other information to approve the delivery, while I set the sturdy white box on the counter and thought privately that there should be another word than handled when the person in question doesn't have hands. Tentacled just doesn't sound right. I also wondered about the scratching noise from the roof, but didn't think much of it until the guy complained.
"That again?"
he grumbled, glaring up at the rocky overhang as if he could see through to whatever was hiding in the low bushes on top.
"Something's been rattling about up there for an hour now. Reckon the ambience."
He sniffed and looked up at me.
"You're a proper tree height. Suppose you can get a look and shoo whatever it is away?"
"Sure," I said, taking a step back to inspect the bushes. The ledge was higher up than I could reach, but one of those local trees with the spiral trunk grew next to it, making for plenty of handholds. Before I go sticking my face up there, do you have any dangerous animals around here that you might expect to be waiting to jump out at me? Anything fond of leaping claws first, or projectile attacks?
"Nah, nothing small enough to be up there," the guy said with confidence. "The only troublemakers we have are big ones, and there are defensive measures keeping them away from town."
Mer spoke up.
"That doesn't rule out off-world fauna. The spaceport's right there."
He pointed a tentacle back the way we had come.
"Could be somebody's pet or prize face-eater. Good thing we've got an animal expert right here, though."
He patted my ankle with a tentacle. I looked down at him. You know, it would be simpler for me to just lift you up so you can stick your face in the danger zone.
No. I wouldn't want to rob you of your glory."
Of course not. I peered back up at the foliage, which was holding still now. The elder was concerned.
"I didn't think about off-world creatures. Now that I think about it, there was a cart full of stuff parked there a while ago, and something could have jumped off it. Horrible thought. Glad you're here. Do you need any tools?"
I sighed. Let me just take a peek at what's there. I don't suppose you have a stick or something for moving the plants aside?
"Oh, always,"
said the old beaver, and grabbed a bouquet of walking sticks from under the counter. They were all intricately carved, bare wood.
"Got to keep chewing when there's nothing to do."
Very nice, I said, picking up the longest one, which was still pretty short. Thank you. I'll try not to get it ruined by some off-world pest. The shapes of alien vines spiraling around it were truly lovely.
"No worries, I can always make more."
He waved me on. Hoping I wasn't about to do something monumentally unwise, I stepped over to the side of the booth and got a grip on the spiral tree trunk. It was the perfect natural ladder, narrow enough that I could carry the stick and rough enough that my shoes didn't slip. Moments later, I was raising my head up past the level of the roof, though at a good distance. I reached out with a stick to part the leaves. Mer and the elder beaver watched from below. Nothing. Nothing. Just leaves. Blue fur. A smaller beaver face glaring at me, managing to look scared and angry at the same time. I blinked. The elder called,
"See anything dangerous?"
I answered honestly, No off-world pests here. I think you're okay. Give me just a minute. Is this ledge strong enough for me to climb on?" He said it was, sounding relieved. Moore launched into a story of the most troublesome animals we'd had to deliver as cargo, and the two of them promptly left me to it. Good. Judging by the size and the sulky expression, I figured the person on the roof was roughly teenage and regretting their choices. I climbed up another couple steps, then took a seat casually on the edge. Setting the stick down, I admired the view and kept the youngster in my peripheral vision. "Hi there, you okay?" I didn't get an answer, which didn't surprise me. The furry blue alien was clutching the stem of a bush with both hands and shivering ever so slightly. That made twigs scrape on the rock. The scowl dared me to mention it. Instead, I asked, "So what brings you up here?" She said, "Schoolwork," and left it at that. "Oh, what kind?" I asked. "Is it to find out how far you can see from up high? This really is a great view." I waved a hand, encompassing the trees, tributaries, distant spaceport, and scattered buildings. You can see what ships have landed and who's crossing what bridge, and even where all the fruits are on the top of that tree. I pointed out what looked like an apple tree, but probably wasn't. Beaver people were using longer sticks to knock down the fruit from ground level. The teenager perked up a little at that, but didn't let go of the plants. She also didn't answer. I prompted, "Did you finish what you came up here to do?" "No," she admitted. "The giant web spinners are gone." I looked around, more concerned by that statement than I wanted to let on. "Are they? Did you want to find them?" She hunched her shoulders and said in a rush, "We have to find an efficient way to suspend something lightweight, and I thought the webs would be perfect. But they're not here anymore, and now the cart's gone so I can't get down, and this is very high up." "Ah," I said. "Well, I can help with that if you like. Actually," I added, as something occurred to me, "I might be able to help with both problems. Did you just need one strand of web or the whole thing?" She looked at me suspiciously. "Just a couple of strands would work. One to use and one for backup. Why?" "What about really long fur?" I asked, untying my braid. This wasn't the first time I'd found an unorthodox use for hair, and knowing my life, it probably wouldn't be the last. "How strong is it?" she asked. I noticed that her grip on the bush was loosening, and she wasn't as tense. "Strong enough to hold up a pencil, easy," I told her, as I finger-combed my hair in search of loose strands. "Probably a few pencils. I haven't tested it, but human hair's pretty tough as these things go." "Human?" She said the word like it was unfamiliar. "Oh yeah, that's me. Hi, I'm a human." I waved one hand in an awkward greeting. "Right, I knew that," she said, sounding utterly convincing, and not at all like she was trying to save face. I shrugged, hands back in my hair. There's a lot of species to keep track of. For example, I don't think I've actually caught the official name for yours, which is embarrassing since I've been here twice. "The interplanetary name is River Shapers," she said, which is boring, but they didn't ask me. I guess not all the aliens making the decision could pronounce Hunyakuk. The word in her native tongue was part hoot, part squeak, and, yeah, a little tricky. I nodded. "Guess I'm lucky. My species got to keep our own name for ourselves, probably because no one could agree on a descriptive one. And actually, I'm doubly lucky because it's a word from my own language. We have lots of them." I separated 3 loose strands of hair. "Speaking of lots, here you go. 1 to use and 2 backups for weight testing." She took them between her webbed fingers and gave them a gentle tug. "Those are pretty strong," she admitted. "Yep." Then I remembered we were on top of a roof. "Say, do you want me to hold on to them until we get down?" She reflexively grabbed the bush again with one hand, leaving the one clutching the hairs out where they wouldn't snag on leaves. Yes, please. I took them back, wrapped them around a few fingers, then tucked the loose coil into a pocket. Right, so there's a couple ways we can do this, I said, if I was a co-conspirator planning a heist. I can carry you down, you can ride on my back, or... I held up a finger. I can show you where to put your feet so you can do it on your own. I didn't expect her to take me up on that last one, given the blatant fear of heights, but she surprised me. Show me, she demanded. I want to come back when all the low fruits are gone from that tree. Bet I can get a couple that everyone else missed. Great plan. Scoot on over here and grab this branch. I tied my hair back into a quick ponytail, then stepped back onto the spiral trunk, taking the nearly forgotten stick with me. The most important thing about climbing is to focus on where your hands and feet are, and not on how high up you are. Put both hands here, then 1 foot over here. With detailed coaching, we made it to the ground, 1 inch at a time. I was sure to keep a hand free in case she slipped, which meant I did a lot of my own climbing with one elbow looped over a branch, so I could keep hold of the stick, but I'd had worse climbs. And nobody fell. My feet reached the ground first, and Mo was waiting there with an expression that said he was very curious, but would wait for an explanation. I handed him the stick and finished guiding the young river shaper's descent. The elder leaned on the counter and watched. Perfect. Now keep hold of that and bend your knees until you can put a foot down here. See that? Yeah, almost got it. Great. Now you can move this hand over here, then I'll bet you can reach the ground. Got it. Good job. Her webbed feet slapped the dirt, and she stood tall, relatively speaking, breathing hard but looking triumphant. I remembered to give her the hairs. Here you go, I said, passing over the delicate coil. Best of luck with the project. She nodded curtly, ignoring the others, and scampered off.
So, Mur said, not an alien pest at all, then?
The elder asked,
What in the floodplains was she doing up there?
Schoolwork, I said simply. She might be less afraid of high places now, or more likely to ignore that fear, which is almost the same thing. Anyways, if she gets stuck up there again, remind her the human said to watch her hands and not look down.
He shook his head. Kids, I'll tell my wife to make sure the medics are ready for any fall damage.
Then he heaved a bundle of carved sticks onto the counter, all tied together top and bottom with festive bows.
Here you go, young fella. Enjoy.
My thanks,
said Moore smoothly, then waved a tentacle up at me.
My tall assistant here will carry them.
Tall assistant, am I? I asked in amusement, though I did pick up the bundle. I moved to give back the stick I'd been holding, but the elder waved it away.
Thanks for cleaning out my foot space, he said,
settling comfortably into his chair and bringing out a fresh uncarved stick.
If those turn out to be wildly popular among the fancy spacefaring folk, you know where to find more. I might even charge you a price, he chuckled,
then began gnawing industriously. Moore strode happily toward the ship. I followed. He gave you these? I asked quietly. They're amazing.
Yep, Moore agreed. And they're easy to make with teeth like that, and everybody here has something of the sort lying around. And why would he dream of selling them?
I looked at the one in my other hand with the vine carvings. I'm surprised this isn't already a thriving business.
Maybe it is, and nobody's told him yet. But these are just the right size for heat seekers to use as canes. Maybe we can keep a couple in case the captain or somebody sprains an ankle, then sell the rest. I tell you, this has been a surprisingly productive visit.
I glanced at the fruit trees as we passed. There were still plenty of fruits in the top branches. It sure has, I agreed.